Hello everyone, welcome. It's Alisha Brasher here at Cosmic Gateway. I thought I would just sit down and go over a little bit of an energetic update and forecast just based on my own observations and of course working with clients and sessions. So this will sort of run through November, I feel. And I think we're still sort of filtering out a little bit of October's energies, which at times was very beautiful, very flowing, and also very jarring. So it had that sort of contrast. So I feel like we're slowly tapering out of that. But of course, we're moving into the eclipse and the full moon coming up just in a few days, which I think is Tuesday, the 8th of November, and then followed by the 11/11 on Friday. So at the moment, there's a huge amount of fatigue energy, I would say. I think that the closest thing I could summarize with that is like an acclimation energy. A bit like when you're trying to acclimatize in like high altitude, and that's really what it feels like. It's like it takes a little bit longer to do certain tasks. It takes time to decompress after doing whatever it is that you're doing, whether it's just like house chores or conversations. It feels like that decompression time, you need that space to digest. So I don't know about you guys. I'd love to know how you're feeling, but I think I've been having to have like 2 naps a day, just to sort of slowly integrate. And I feel like when that occurs, there's this energetic process that happens of like being almost taken out and going into different dimensional space. And I'll tie into what I feel is sort of occurring in that place. And one of the signs that I sort of look for, understand when that's occurring, is as I start to wake up from it, I can feel this spinning vibration. And that I feel like that's me trying to anchor back into my body. So one of the things that I've noticed, especially over this last week, is being very disoriented, like upon waking, and taking a lot of time to adjust and slowly start to come back into the body. And sometimes it can take, a few minutes, and sometimes it can take a couple of hours. So I guess the guidance that I've received a lot is just take things at your own pace, take as much time as you need. There's no need to rush, like things need to filter through at this slower pace. And I think that there's a lot that's being processed out, in and out. So it's like this incoming energy, outgoing energy. But I think that there's a lot of subconscious processing that's occurring in the sleep space. So I think sometimes there's like more mission-based activities, and other times there's like this subconscious processing or sifting through. And I feel like obviously leading into this eclipse, it kind of closes off. It's like bookends to the eclipses that we started to have back in April. So it's like this reflection piece about looking about at what are the themes that was starting to occur around April, May of this year, and how are we bringing that into full circle, and looking at the circumstances and what it brought to us, the healing that we sort of helped to go through our own process of evolution. And now it's like a very much an embodiment phase, hence the slowing down, this real slowing down, because I do think momentum is going to pick up. So back on the 22nd of October, we had this Venus star energy come into Libra. So I have noticed there's been a lot of creative energy starting to filter through, this like life force creation energy. And if I tune into it, it's a very nurturing, very soft energy. It has a lot of pastel colors, lots of rich pinks, oranges, golds, yellows, and things like that. And that's primarily the energy that I've been seeing that's trying to come in. But of course, to be able to embody that energy, there's still this process of filtering out. So filtering out through the physical body. So a lot of soreness, stiffness, aches and pains throughout the body. I've certainly noticed that. I think there was a couple of days last week, I just felt like I had to have constant, salt baths just to kind of relax the body and just allow that, no stories as such playing out, just knowing that there's density that's working its way out and releasing. So also another thing that I've sort of noticed is becoming less and less, but these pockets of collective energy that represent sort of mistrust or betrayal or hurt or heartbreak that seem to ebb and flow out. Sometimes they can become very, very pronounced, and then they sort of dilute back. And I think there's that energy that's been floating around for some time, and it is becoming less and less. So just observe that if you notice that. I know that that's been a theme for a lot of my clients of recent, of like going through these circumstances. And of course, the eclipses can bring up these events where things are abruptly brought to light or ripped from us. And so there's a mourning and a death phase that occurs with that. So be really gentle on yourself and know that sometimes it's out of our control, our earthly human realm control. So also another thing is this kind of need or wanting to align with this frequency of home. So on Friday, the 11th of November, so 11/11 at 7 p.m, I will be hosting a soul journey on Zoom. So I open that invitation for anyone who feels that they want to join. And what I've been guided to do is to take people through this process of breaking down and clearing out density so that there is this more embodiment of a home resonance or home frequency. Some people that can be a place, some people that's just an energy, but it's learning to be able to vibrate with that more within our physical form so that we can experience more of that in our world. And I know that, you know, through the soul searching and seeking along our spiritual path and journey, often we find it in people, you know, or certain things, but it's allowing, you know, that to be a predominant resonance that we can hold and access at any time. And there is a lot of creativity that comes through working with that and accessing that. So I highly encourage, if that is, if you'd like to join the 11/11 Remembering Home, a soul journey, I'd love to have you as a part of that. I'm just trying to think what else. Yeah, needing space and time. So there's this real feeling of disconnect at the moment for a lot of people. So feeling tapped in, but also disconnected. And I feel like this is the filling up phase, because I think the emptying out phase, which is still in progress to some degree, that's been going on now for several months. There's now this place of being able to fill up and bring in this frequency. And a lot of people tend to isolate during that time. I think that that's a wise decision. Often at times, you know, this journey of soul remembrance can be very isolating and lonely at times. But I think that is due to the internal recalibration that we go through on a vibrational level. When we go out into the outside world or start to interact or connect with people, there's such a vast contrast of our energy that makes a disresonance, if you will. And so that can prolong that process. So that need to sort of nurture your own energetic signature, clean it up, be in that nurturing space, I think is vital and important at the moment. So I'm just trying to think. I think that's about all. I think I've covered most of it. Just, yeah, the fatigue, coming back into the body, creating that space as much as you can. And the identity transformation. So I feel like this may be linked in astrologically as well with Gemini in Mars going through its retrograde cycle. I think that there is this realigning with new identity or version of self. And I feel like there's this old paradigm of the way that we viewed ourselves, or the way that people have viewed us through our older expressions. They're starting to break down. And as we go through that, a new identity starts to come online, which then will change the trajectory of our timeline. And I think as we go through that stripping away of old belief systems and ways that we perceived ourselves that kind of created that identity, it can feel like a very lost or confusing space to navigate through. So it's about being able to try and surrender into the unknown, into the void space. And I know that we've been navigating through that for a little while, and I think that that's still going to go on for a little bit longer. But the more you can take that time and space to rest and nurture and really connect in with your own energy field, how you feel in those times of rest and solitude, it's going to help to rebuild this this phase. So I have a little bit of a treat. There's been a lot of really strange occurrence. Oh, actually, there's two more things that I wanted to cover. So I think at the moment there is this very subtle yet strong psychic overlay impressions that are coming through. And I've noticed this for a while. It's like, it's not as high definition as what it could normally be for someone who's quite sensitively in tune. It's more subtle thought forms that sort of come in and you think, oh, what was that about? And I've noticed this time and time again of thinking about something very random and then it presenting in the reality within 5 minutes to 24 hours later. And they're not necessarily massive things that would shape my experience somewhat. I think they're just showing this the lapse period between, you know, energetic impression and then showing up in the physical reality. So that shows that this gap between the etheric and the physical is shortening and shortening and shortening. So I think that, you know, really holds a great level of importance when we're looking at mastering our own energy and our thoughts, and working with that creational energy and the power that it holds of being able to draw in those frequencies for creation and manifestation at the highest level. So that's one thing that I've noticed, like, you know, and just random things like driving on the freeway and thinking, you know, oh, you know, that would be really dangerous if someone was walking on the freeway, and thinking, why would I think that? That's so strange. And then within a few minutes seeing someone walking in the middle of the freeway. So I think that's, you know, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and he was sort of sharing that potentially is like our attuning into our higher self or a future version of ourselves that's just feeding back information energy. So I think there's these lapses of reality that are coming into, you know, collapsing into one, but we're sort of still out there in the etheric. And I think for me personally, I haven't felt fully integrated. Like, there's been a long period of time of feeling very disconnected and not feeling whole, feeling like there's portions of me that are out in the ether, still in the astral realms. And of course, when that happens and we're not fully back in our body, that can cause a lot of energetic bleed through of whatever's occurring in those other realities. And I do think that there's a lot of timelines that are collapsing. And I think as we start to revisit old experiences, you know, we're going through this phase of being able to close off those experiences, but sometimes there's that energetic bleed through that occurs. So that, and I would love to know if anyone else is experiencing the world at the moment feels very big and very empty. I feel like every time I've gone outside of my home, especially in the last week, there seems to be less and less people on the streets, driving on the car, like times when it would be normally very, very busy. Seems to be like a tenth of people out and about. So I don't know if that's my own interpretation of my own experience or if other people are experiencing that too, but I would be very interested to know. So I have a little bit of a treat for you. So one of those psychic impressions that I had, the subtle ones, was a thought came into my head about going back and doing the intuitive guidance insights, which if you've been following me for a couple of years, I used to do them quite regularly, I think fortnightly. And then just early 2020, I didn't feel the joy in them anymore. Going through my own personal upheaval, I just didn't feel the enthusiasm, the excitement. And I know that when there is a lack of luster in something, then we shouldn't force it or put energy into it. And yeah, just recently I had this feeling of maybe reconnect with doing that, and I dismissed it because I was like, I don't like to go back into doing old things. And then later on that evening in my own YouTube feed was a video that I had done 3 years ago, which was an intuitive guidance reading. And I clicked on it and I watched it, and I have to be honest, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was incredibly accurate in describing where I'm currently at. And I thought, well, I think I'll take that as a sign. So I've really enjoyed the last couple of days just sitting in my own space and creating new artwork and just having a play around with that. So I am going to do a series of 3 intuitive reads. Now, these are not predictions. These are merely just looking at energies and opportunities that may present that we can work with. I think we're beyond a stage now of predictions where I think there's so many different timelines at play, but as we get to critical choice points, you know, those ones drop in. And a lot of them are very, very similar. It's just where we're sort of at in our own trajectory at that moment. So I hope that you enjoy these, and yeah, let me know how you're feeling in the comment section. I'd love to hear what your own experience is and how you're feeling into the lead up to this eclipse and of course 11/11. So the artwork that I have is this one here. So this will be A, intuitive card A. This is my personal favorite. This is B. So if you choose that one, B. And lucky last C, this one here. So just tune into the energy of whichever image resonates and we'll dive right in. So first one will be A. I'll probably pop it up here actually, see if it sits. Oh yeah, not too bad. And we'll dive right in. So I'm just going to pull these live and just see what comes out. Energies and impressions for November, or whenever you find this. As I mentioned before, finding one from 3 years ago, it completely resonated with where I'm at. So interesting. All right, so we have the 8 of Earth, the Knight of Fire, and the Strength card coming through. So looking at, I'm just going to take 2 more. Yep. Skilled work, rewards, learning all there is to know about a topic, and then going back to school, which, okay. Interesting. Oh, awesome. Yeah, okay, cool. So we have the energies of looking at something that maybe you've accomplished, something that you've been working hard towards. This could be over a number of years, and really refining your skills and development, and now looking at a new space, a new place to move into, which may be complementary. So it may be looking at picking up or learning a new modality, or it could be your own research or going into. I feel like this is slightly, it's not completely different. It's almost like the next level up. So this could be in your own personal development, but it's feeling as though it's like completing one cycle and looking for the new endeavor, looking for the new venture or new things that you can discover that may match skills and abilities that you already have, but learning to master something new and different. So we've got that coming in. We also have the Knight of Fire. Actually, so we've got that. Is that going to focus? So the 8 of Earth. The next one is the Knight of Fire. And then we have the Strength card too. So the Knight of Fire talks about sudden events that require immediate action. So time is the essence and needing to think through things carefully. So I think this is very much around the eclipse energy. So having things that are unexpected sort of come to light. That could be shocking, it could be jarring, it could be maybe not so much. It could be, you had that intuitive hit and then it starts to show up, but it's requiring action and diligent action, and requiring you to maintain a space of level-headedness, and maybe think before you speak or think before you act. And, you know, when or if these events come into fruition, they could be global events too. They may not necessarily be in your immediate reality. This might be at the world at large. It's really, I feel the guidance is to be able to take a step back and make sure that you're in your own embodiment energy before taking action, before, you know, jumping to conclusions or getting hot-headed and acting out or projecting. So it's like taking a step back, being able to balance, coming into a place as much as you can of equilibrium, and then being able to move forward with that clarity. So we also have the 11, the strength card. So great inner strength, a release of harsh judgment, forgiveness, and compassion. So just know that this may intertwine with that. So whatever's playing out may require you to dig a little deeper to find forgiveness or compassion, or be able to release negative self-imposed thoughts about others or yourself, or situations that may have been, what's the word I'm looking for? It just completely went out of my head. Illusionary, and not as though how they seem. So just allowing space for that. Then we move into the 7 of air and the renewal card, which is really beautiful to sort of capture that story. Plans that need revision, going more that meets the eye, and poor timing. So I think, you know, in that sort of pocket of in between the month of whatever sort of revelations come up, or unexpected events or circumstances, being able to know that when things are abruptly shift or change like that, often it's taking us into a new time and space. It's taking us into perhaps negating something that if we went down, we would have been trapped in, you know, may have stayed longer than necessary. So know that some of these catalyst events are always in our highest and best good. So know that when timing is off, knowing that there's a better, more supportive timing coming up. And then we have renewal energy. So review and evaluate, favorable assessment of the facts, and time to move forward in a new direction. So there may be, a lot of being able to wade through the timing of things, and then seek for better direction, more information, and perhaps a new level of skill and study to move forward with that. All right, so I'm just going to grab a Lemurian card and a Magdalene card just to close off, just to give additional information. So the sound of the universe, home, oh my goodness, and the star seer. Oh, you've got to see these cards, they're so beautiful. So we've got, the sound of the universe. So I think that these are more sort of solution-based from the top deck. Then we've got the home card, a bit avatar-like, and then the star seer. So my interpretation of these is using sound, frequency, meditation, music, anything that helps uplift you, to give you that sense of clarity or perspective, or to help iron out or balance your energy. And of course, going into home, finding that resonance within you that feels like home, that feels safe, that feels comfortable, that allows you to relax your nervous system, ease your mind, and feel back into what is truth. So if there is a lot of distortion that's happening out within your life or personal life or in the collective field, coming back into that inner sanctum of home. And then from there, being able to grab into or access, or even just ask for the higher perspective, to be able to have more clarity, more foresight, more downloads, whether it be, with high definition or just with a subtle knowing of what is that higher, more cosmic perspective, if you will, if that's your flavor, to better understand what is truth for you, what is in resonance for you, and how to seek clarity moving forward in a new direction. So I'm just going to pull one more card here. If one wants to come out. I'll just have one, please. No, of course, we are going to get half a deck. That's okay. We've got the Saint and Sinner and the Decision card. Okay, well, it's very similar themes that are running through. So the Saint and Sinner card talks about looking at the polarized aspects of self. So recognizing the good, the bad, and it's almost like feeling into those different light and darker aspects so that we can ultimately merge it and come into unison within self. And even if it's helpful to make a list, to write maybe different belief systems of how we view ourselves or what we're feeling, and then looking at writing the polarity of where we can move into from that, whether that be, you know, good or bad, dark or light, you know, sadness to joy, grief, whatever it is, and recognizing that all serve a very important process for us. Each one serves a very important purpose and helps us, you know, move into more space of unison and into a higher level of awareness and compassion. And then we have the Decision card. So the Decision card talks about, well, obviously making a decision. But this is weighing in factors of what other people might think. It could be loved ones, close family members, friends, partners. And it's weighing in this decision around what is truth for me and what is good for the other people around. And it may mean making decisions that don't support everyone's greatest and best interest. There may be other people that you need to factor in making these decisions, whether it's a move, whether it's changing career. But it's ultimately saying in this is that if you make the decision based on your heart's desires and what is right for your highest good, then in time people will understand. And it's really about staying true to you, even if you see things that people can't see. And I know that that's, you know, true for a lot of us as we've gone through the last couple of years. You know, we have different ideals than a lot of the people in our life and in society, but it's being very, very true to what is right for us, and then allowing that filter of truth to then flow onto people, even if it creates cognitive dissonance. That's just temporary, and in time people will be able to see the path and the decisions and the choices that have been made, and making that a what's the word? Sorry, guys. I feel like I'm slipping. It's all there. A pathway for other people to do the same thing, inspiration. So I hope that resonates. I hope that has given you something, and I'm wishing you a wonderful November. So let's move in now to reading B. Yes, B. So let me just, this one here. I'll just take this one down. Hope you're having a lovely November so far. Let's see what themes may be coming up for you throughout the month of November, or whenever you find this. They just don't want to come out. Oh no, hang on. I've got 3 decks here. Finally, 1. 7 of fire. 7 of water. I've got 2 sevens. 9 of water. a lot of complex decision-making energy coming through. So 7 of fire, 7 of water, 9 of water, and Queen of air. So first of all, defend your beliefs and decisions, stand your ground, and choose your battles wisely is the first card that's coming through here. So an energy of action, and 7 is very much about the spiritual seeker. So it could be around your own spiritual beliefs and being asked to stand your ground, stand your sovereignty, and speak wisely from the heart, but don't necessarily engage in battles that are futile, you know, because is that going to add to your peace? Is that going to take away from your peace? And is it worth it? You know, sometimes it is worth having conversations or going in and speaking a truth, and other times, you know, it's more for our own internal processing. So just be aware of that energy, and know that, you know, what is truth for you may not be truth for someone else, and that's where the conflict can come in. But just being able to hold your own energy and sovereignty, and going through and being the observer, the wise observer with that one, and looking at things and dissecting it from different angles, but then coming back into that center point of what is resonant for you. We also have the 7 of water. So complex decisions need to do research and stop procrastinating. So this may be looking into further study, maybe looking into going into new direction, and making decisions that may be complex, and you may need to be factoring in other people potentially, and, you know, just looking around, feeling into it. And I think often when I've had to make complex decisions, often the mind can give possibilities and can give ideas. But if we sit back into our heart space and let go of some of the research and a lot of the overthinking, overstimulated energy, and feel into what may be the best solution, and allowing that solution to present itself, can be some of the best ways to navigate through complex decision making, is being able to be in a more feminine flow state and be able to feel into what feels good, what is serving, and then allowing that frequency match. And then sometimes it's like, let's say you're, you know, looking to rent a new house or buy a new house or relocate or a job, and you're looking online and nothing's really matching because you're in that sort of over exerting energy. It's like taking that time to come back and center yourself, feel into what feels good. It actually shifts and changes your vibration, so that when you go back out and look, you find what you're looking for. It's like it appears. So then we have the 9 of water and the Queen of air. So I'll just show you those 2 cards there. So looking at wishes come true, concerns fade away, a love of life. So it's a renewal on an emotional level, phase that's stepping in for you, feeling more balance, harmony, contentment, and a renewed sense of purpose, I guess, and just being able to embody more energy that keeps you in that place of equilibrium and center point balance, and allowing those solutions to come to you, and just feeling that new resonance and alignment that comes in. Okay. And then with the Queen of air, we have objective decision making, clearing the way, clearing all that doesn't serve you, and seeing the humor in the situation. So it's like almost whatever was starting at the month of being, you know, whether it be aggressive, argumentative, getting your back, you know, getting you all riled up. It's like moving through that kind of takes you into a new path, and then being able to reflect back at whatever that was and seeing how divinely orchestrated or how clever that may have been. So you might want to keep that in mind as you're going through it. I mean, sometimes we have to be put through some, you know, heavy simulations that seem very real to get what we need out of it at the time. But sometimes, you know, going back and looking back and reflecting, we see how it was cleverly orchestrated and planned to get the best evolution, growth, for our own soul purpose ultimately. So just stepping through, and a marine card, stepping through the veil, stepping through into new energetic bandwidth, new realities opening up. Gracious receptivity. So there's this very feminine energy flow in this theme. Being able to be in that embodiment of balance allows, and balance forces. Yeah. This whole month is about finding your balance and equilibrium, and then being gracious in seeing what flows to you when you can make those shifts and changes from your within yourself ultimately. So stepping away from the conflict, and then finding what brings you into that balance, whether that be through sound, through music, through dance, through yoga practice, really investing in those things too. And maybe even finding new creative ways for you to find that ebb and flow and balance within you. But it's, I think, through embracing that more feminine energy within you and tapping into that, you're going to be quite surprised how effortlessly things start to flow to you. Then I'll just finish out with a Magdalene card. Yeah. Balancing the masculine and feminine energies within you. You may have had more predominant masculine energy, so it's coming back into maybe having, more focus on the feminine energy and flow, and then bringing it back into, balance by the end of the month. So looking at things like belly dancing can be really great to get into feminine flow energies. So we have liberation coming through, being able to break through shackles and chains of any sort of limitations that have been bonded in the mind, I feel, with that one. It's a very overactive mental space. Yeah, okay. Oh, okay, cool. Cool. So yeah, and it might be just evaluating thoughts and feelings that come up around what do you feel hold you back? Is it finances? Is it resources? What making it, instead of being in that heavier energy or that conflict energy, actually breaking it down. So taking all the people out of the circumstance and just breaking it down as the emotion, as the feeling. We also have past lives. Oh, we have love, and we have serendipity come through. So this may be based around romantic connections. You may be going through a healing process that is connected to past lives, and being able to come back into a space of love within yourself to repair relationships, romantic or otherwise. And looking at the signs and synchronicity. So the serendipity card talks about the, a span of a couple of week period of being guided and seeing the signs and synchronicities to help give greater insight and clarity to whatever projects you're working on, or whatever situations you need further clarity on. So just allow yourself to open up to, always asking questions. I think people don't ask questions enough. Ask some questions to ourselves of how we can navigate through circumstances, or, what is this energy? Where does this energy come from? Is there something that I need to look at to explore from childhood? Is there something I need to look at and explore through past life, or is it concurrent? So looking at, breaking free, finding that balance, and ultimately coming into a greater sense of love and peace within yourself, and thus within your dynamic, whether that be family and friends or in a romantic connection. So I hope that resonates. I hope that helps, and wishing you a wonderful November. Okay. Lucky last, I'll just put these away. We're going to move into card C. So this card here, I'll just pop that up there. I still see it. So looking at the themes for November, or whenever you find this, whenever it resonates, let's see what wants to come through. Okay, we've got the 10 of air and this 7 of earth. First and foremost. Beautiful. So end of a difficult situation, embracing the change, expect things to get better from now on, and recovery from addiction. The 7 of earth is seeds well planted, temporary pause to action, and unnecessary worry. So quite often when we're coming in and wrapping up cycles, especially if they're big cycles that have been playing out in our life or lives, there is this pause and in-between phase where, you know, if you look at the Vesica Pisces, you know, the overlapping spheres, so we start to feel into the new energy before the old one is closed off. So there is this need for stillness and pause and inaction, because often when we're in between those cycles, any energy that we exert into our physical life or reality only sort of adds to what's closing off. So it's very counterproductive. So what I would recommend in this phase, if you do feel that you're in this sort of ending of difficulty and hardship and, you know, whatever's been brought up for you throughout this year, just embrace the change and just be able to sink back into stillness or nothingness before the next thing comes in. And quite often we can get very quick to want to not sit in that uncomfortable energy of that void space and want to do things, but it's really important to find that in-between space so that things have completely wrapped up, whether they've wrapped up physically and energetically, it's still trying to close off before we start to engage in new endeavors. Then we've got the 8 of water and the 10 of water. So desire to move on, the search for something new, more meaningful, spiritual and emotional growth. And then we've got contented and rewarding family life, emotional material needs met, trustworthy relationships. So yeah, definitely entering into a much more healthier phase. Maybe seeing that the writing is on the wall or have done for, you know, quite some time within a relationship, or just looking at an outdated relationship dynamic. So it doesn't necessarily mean moving on from the relationship as such, but giving the old energy time to dissipate and implementing new ways to change and change up the cosmic dance, as I like to put it. And knowing that you are in this window space in this time period where that there is a lot more possibility for that harmony to be reached. And perhaps you are the instigator to take those steps. And then being able to flow into that, you know, more equilibrium, balanced harmony energy, and bringing that into your relationships, into your family life, into your community, and being really conscious creator as you're doing that. And yeah, we've got the Ace of Fire, so an exciting new opportunity, career advancement, and change your life now. So you may be looking at changing jobs, changing lines of work, and you might find that as you're going through the end of this cycle and the opening up of the new, you've got potential to bring more balance into your home and family life or personal relationships, but it's also going to open up new career changes or opportunities. I see that card as more just opportunities presenting themselves that may give more financial abundance or just more zest for life, motivation, inspiration, or doing something that you truly have loved, maybe that you've put off for a long time because of going through a harsher cycle and not really having the space, the energy, or the capacity, but now allowing yourself to be open to new gifts, new rewarding experiences and opportunities that may come, you know, as an interest or a hobby and then develop into a career down the track. So let's have a look at the Lemurian cards, see what they have to offer. Solar plexus chakra. So I see the solar plexus is very much of our masculine energy, our identity, but our connection to our I am presence. So this may be, obviously it's connected to the stomach and our digestive system. And I also see it connected to the sun energy. So this may be a supportive energy for you to connect with as you're going through these types of changes. And, you know, there may be this sort of dissolving of ego and false levels of identity, and being able to connect in with a new sense of spirited aligned identity, which gives in more freedom, more chance and opportunity to sort of spread your wings and go through this metamorphosis of transformation. So you may want to, you know, do solar plexus work or healing or focus in and around that. And maybe even come into a concept of what the new version of you looks like. How does that interact in the world? How does that, you know, interact with other people? What desired feelings stem from that new sense of self and being in a place that's no longer constricted or going through harshness, but liberated and free at the same time. We also have the earth or nature card. So potentially as a part of that, maybe connecting with the energy of Gaia, the energy of the earth, or getting out into nature to be able to recalibrate and go through that space or phase of being able to look into or feel into what the new you looks like. Lives again. So we've got this theme of past lives and transformation happening. So you might find that part of that cycle that's wrapping up for you, that harsher cycle may be connected into past life energy that's coming up around evaluation and transformation. So you may be clearing out deep ancestral wounding. You may be going through cycles that have played out time and time again, and you're sort of coming to this closure point where you're putting the end to that, maybe not just for yourself, but maybe also for the family, the greater family involved. And we'll just get one more card. Now we've got miracles, we've got prophecy and acceptance. So this to me has very ancient energy that comes through. So once we've got the sun symbology here, we've got the Ankh and the third eye. So maybe center points of looking at solar plexus chakra, third eye, and being able to see things from a more high dimensional standpoint and looking at the miracle of life rather than being weighed down in the circumstances or the victim mindset. And being able to connect with that, you may start to switch on more psychic abilities, be able to prophesize more, see into the future. With that is being able to surrender into the flow and greater acceptance of why things have played out the way that they have, not being a victim to it, but coming into a full state of acceptance in terms of what it is that you have grown, how you've evolved through coming through the harsh cycle, and what does it have in store for you moving into the new one. So often as we're closing off cycles, especially harsher ones, all the skills that we've developed along the way get sort of embodied within us so we can take them forward and use them very, very productively. So I hope that that helps. I hope that that resonates with someone. I'm wishing you a wonderful November. Of course, if you'd like to join the journey home on 11/11, I'll put all the details in the description box below. And I am open now for personal sessions. So if you feel that you need extra support moving through November, I would love to connect with you. Until next time, sending massive amounts of love.